Hello, I'm Arizona Lawyer Julie LaBenz. Welcome to my channel. Today, I want to address a viewer question regarding how do you calculate child support if you don't know your ex's gross income? So, thank you so much for posting that question. Anybody else who has a question that you'd like me to potentially make a video about, feel free to put that in the comments of any of my videos. Just to be clear, I don't become your lawyer by you posting a question or me answering it. And any information I provide in response to your question is just legal information only. Your best bet is to get actual legal advice about your situation. However, as best I can, I will provide legal information to help you navigate the complicated family law court system. So, child support is obviously a very important part of any divorce with children or any child custody related case. And calculating child support is going to be a bit different state by state. So, the information I'm going to provide is very based on Arizona, since I am licensed to practice in Arizona. However, I would imagine there's a lot of similarities between the various states. And certainly having a calculator that requires you to input both parties' current incomes is likely consistent across the nation. So obviously you'll know your income, and keep in mind you're going to use your gross income, at least in Arizona. So don't deduct anything for taxes or things of that nature. Now, if you are self-employed, if you have your own business, for example, calculating gross income is a bit different because you get to take your gross income and you get to subtract certain expenses that are necessary for you to earn your income. Alternatively, if you are on salary, then you're going to use your gross salary either on an hourly, monthly, or annual basis. Regarding your ex's income, if you don't know their income, then certainly a starting point would be to ask them to provide that information. Now, if you don't have a case filed, but you already have a custody or a child support order that's in place, if you look at the underlying order related to that child support order, there may be language where the two of you have agreed to exchange financial information, for example, every 2 years. So you could cite to that provision, especially if you're around or after that 2-year marker, and say pursuant to our decree or our court order, we need to exchange our financial information. Please provide yours by a certain date. So what I'm getting at is the first potential step is to ask your ex what their current income is and see if you can get that information directly from them. If you ask and they don't respond, and you have a current case that is open and pending, then your next step is to utilize the disclosure and discovery tools that are available to you. So under the disclosure rules in Arizona, it's Rule 49. Each side is required to exchange their financial information. So you can make a demand to the other side to comply with Rule 49. You can send them a blank affidavit of financial information and ask them to fill that out. You can also use subpoena power to subpoena their current employer to obtain their income information. And if you do make a demand for the other side to, for example, fill out an affidavit of financial information, you can also include in that demand a request that they provide copies of their 2 to 4 most recent pay stubs, so that you have actual evidence, not just what they put down in the affidavit. Of course, they're required to be honest in the affidavit, but if you think that what they're putting in the affidavit, it doesn't exactly match what their current wage is, you can certainly ask for them to also produce pay stubs and things of that nature. So if you don't have a current case open, then under the rules of procedure, you do still have some options regarding the issuance of a subpoena before a case is filed. So you can look into that as a potential option. And then as a final last result, you can estimate. So if you know what work, what line of work they're in, you can do some searches online to see what the typical pay rate is for somebody in that position and profession. And you could use that as a starting point. So if you know, for example, through your searches that the profession that your ex is in generally is paid $25 an hour, you could always start there. You can update the information as the case unfolds. So if you're looking for that information to get your case started, you can certainly estimate. And then as you file and the case unfolds, you can look to get more concrete information about what their actual income is, and then update your proposed child support worksheet, update your disclosures, update the court with what your position is regarding what the other side's gross income is. So I hope you found that helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to put those in the comments. Again, I'm Arizona Lawyer Julie LaBenz. If you found this video helpful, I'd love it if you would like the video. Feel free to subscribe to stay up to date with my videos as they're released. And I invite your comments and questions. All right. Thank you so much. And I hope this video was helpful.